Testing, testing. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kadampa Center. Um, Let me get a sense of who's here. Do we have anyone who's here for the very first time this morning? Okay, so everybody's familiar. That's great. As most people know, Geshe Gelek, our regular teacher, is off traveling around the world giving teachings at other FPMT centers and recharging his batteries. 2 weeks from today, we are lucky to have Venerable George Chernoff, who is one of the senior-most Western monks in the FPMT organization, coming to Kadampa Center for at least a month, maybe longer. So he'll start teaching on Sunday mornings beginning 2 weeks from today. So in that gap between Geshe-la's departure and Venerable George's arrival, we're kind of doing potluck. And today you get the pot. No luck involved. My name's Robbie Watkins. I know most people here. I've been a member of Kadampa Center for about 20 years now. And when things get desperate, Sarah grabs me and says, "You're sitting up there on Sunday mornings." So we'll begin with our prayers in the prayer book on the beige page. And after that, we'll do some meditation. And then we'll have a little bit of discussion. And if there's time, we'll do some more meditation. And if you'd like, we can start by doing 3 prostrations. There's no requirement to do that. But it's always nice if you understand the meaning of it, which is not bowing down to graven images or anything like that, but acknowledging the wisdom that's embodied in the teachings. It's a nice way to begin. O Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Uttayam Shriye Soha. O Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Uttayam Shriye Soha. O Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Uttayam Shriye Soha. Okay. Okay, so on our prayers on the beige page, we'll begin with Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra 3 times. Then we'll read the 4 immeasurables in English, and then chant it in Tibetan. Then down at the bottom of the page, we'll read Refuge and Bodhicitta together 3 times. And on the next page, we'll read the 7-limb prayer in English, and the short mandala offering the first verse in English also. Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soa. Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soa. Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye So. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Sem Chem Tam Che De Wandang De Wei Gyurdang Den Par Gyurshi Du Gel Dan Du Gelgi Gyurdan Drelwa Gyurshi Du Me Pe Delwa Dami Drelwa Gyurshi Nay ring Chabdan Nidan Drelway Tanyam Lane Pargyushi. And now refuge and bodhicitta together 3 times in English. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. And then the 7-limb prayer. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. Now the short mandala offering in English. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. Okay. And now we'll do a little bit of meditation. We're going to just do a simple concentration meditation on watching the breath. Very simple, but not necessarily very easy. Begin the meditation by checking your posture. Your back is a little bit straighter than you normally sit. Your head is maybe just a couple degrees in front of the vertical, but not deeply tilted forward. Eyes either lightly closed or just very slightly open. Lips lightly touching, the jaw is not clenched. The shoulders are down and back a little bit so the chest opens up. The upper arms are away from the sides of the torso. And we have our right hand on our left hand with our thumbs touching. Or if you prefer to put one hand on each knee, that's fine also. Our legs are in a stable and comfortable position. The point is not to torture ourselves with the posture, but to establish a certain stability that is self-maintaining, so that after the meditation begins, we don't have to constantly be paying attention to it. So once you've got it, it feels really solid and very grounded. It's not passive. There's a somewhat active quality even to the posture. And it's said that the big virtue of this posture is that it opens up the energy channels that flow in front of the spine. And that helps the meditation process. So check your posture and identify any sources of tension or discomfort now. And we'll begin the meditation by, first we'll do a little bit of 9-round breathing, and there are lots of variations on this. Geshe does one. One I do is very simple. We'll close the left nostril, take 3 breaths in and out through the right nostril. These are deep breaths with the stomach expanding on the in-breath and contracting on the out-breath, so that your diaphragm is being pulled down and the lungs are completely filled. And 3 breaths in and out through the left nostril with the right nostril closed, and then 3 breaths in and out through both nostrils. And having completed your 9-round breathing, allow your breathing to return to its normal pattern. And we'll begin our meditation, as always, by setting our motivation. And whatever motivated us to come to Kadampa Center this morning is a fine and valid motivation. If we came just out of curiosity, perfectly okay. If we came just to have a little bit of peace and quiet in the midst of a hectic weekend, that's great. If we came because we know that sitting in meditation and thinking about the teachings of the Buddha improves our mind, that's great. But said that the highest motivation, the most powerful one, is what's referred to as the bodhicitta motivation. The motivation that everything I think, I say, I do is motivated by the wish to be of greater benefit to others. Everything. even something as simple as sitting in meditation for a couple minutes. So most of us don't normally think that way, so we have to kind of effortfully generate that motivation, but said even that is extremely powerful. So let's just sit for a minute and generate the bodhicitta motivation. And having set our motivation, we'll now begin the actual meditation. And when we meditate, it's always good to have a chosen object of meditation. Don't let your mind just wander around looking for something appealing or interesting. Pick an object and stick with it. So this meditation is going to be a very simple concentration meditation. We use the mind's natural ability, that's, however, pretty undeveloped for most of us, ability to concentrate. The object of concentration is the breath. We place the mind on the physical sensation of breath moving in and out through our nostrils. That sensation pervades our consciousness. And every time we notice, as will inevitably happen, that something else is in our consciousness about what we need to do when we leave the center today, or what we have to do to get ready for work tomorrow, or a memory of something that happened the other day, we just set that aside gently. We don't berate ourselves. It's completely natural for the mind to wander. We set that aside and come back to the breath over and over and over and over again. And that process of returning to the object over and over again and becoming familiar with it is meditation. Nothing more than that, nothing more mystical or difficult than that. Simply keeping the mind on the chosen object. And we can bring our meditation to an end. And as always, we end with a brief dedication. We acknowledge to ourselves the positive imprint we've made on our mind just by sitting quietly and developing our ability to concentrate. And we think, may that positive imprint not be wasted, but may it ripen in the future in a way that is beneficial to all sentient beings. Any questions or comments about that style of meditation? I think most people are familiar with it. Okay. How many people were here 2 weeks ago when Don Brown led the morning session? Okay. So the subject of the discussion was things I don't like about Tibetan Buddhism. And the group came up with a very long and detailed list. And we had a great time discussing that. So I figured, of course, we can't leave it there. So today we're going to discuss things I like about Tibetan Buddhism, because each of us had a choice this morning, and for some reason we decided to come to Kadampa Center. And that implies at least a level of curiosity, if not a level of real interest in this spiritual tradition. So hopefully we can come up with a list at least as long as the one that they came up with 2 weeks ago. So this is really a chance. This is an open discussion, and this is a chance for people to share why, if you consider yourself a card-carrying Buddhist, why you chose that. Did anyone here grow up as a Buddhist? Do we have anybody? Okay, so everybody came from some other spiritual tradition. So if you're not a Buddhist, but you like to study Buddhism, what appeals to you? Things I could put things I heart. But that'd be a little too much. Yeah. I'm going to put Buddhism, but that implies Tibetan Buddhism specifically, since that's the tradition that we study in here. Things I like about Buddhism. Maybe some of the things that people didn't like about it will show up on this list also. I know the interminable list was one of the things last time. Maybe there's somebody who really likes lists. I don't know. I haven't come across them yet, but so let me get this so it doesn't roll away on me. I'm just going to throw this open and we'll make a list. This will be our own Tibetan Buddhist list. If you're kind of new here, Tibetan Buddhism is famous or infamous for making lists of 53 of this and 108 of that, and so on and so on. But in some ways, it is helpful. But I'll list things up here, and then we'll go back and talk about them in a little bit more detail. Anybody want to start off? Compassion, okay. Good. Well, that'll be a good one to talk about. Okay, what else? Yeah, Hetty. Okay, so is that are you saying that I'm just trying to we're responsible for our own happiness? Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay, um put personal responsibility for our happiness, which implies that we're also responsible for our unhappiness, doesn't it? Is that what you're saying? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. Okay, yeah, okay. Because there are people off-site.
Responsibility is a bit of a heavy term.
Yes. Okay.
You know, it makes it seem like it's that you're in total control,
Uh-huh.
and yet you can find happiness through
Okay.
studying Tibetan Buddhism is more like it. So
Personal ability to find. Anyway, we don't have to be
right.
perfect, but okay. Yeah, responsibility is a little bit heavy. Yeah. Okay. Somebody else want it. Right here. Yeah. What's your name? Okay, Tiago. Okay. Here comes the mic. You're being broadcast around the world. Millions of people are listening to you. Well, at least one or two, maybe.
I like that Buddhism focuses on impermanence.
Impermanence. Okay. That's interesting. A lot of people don't like that, but that's good. Yeah. Thank you. We'll go back and go through these. Okay. Yeah. Right here. People are much more eager to talk about this than 2 weeks ago. Don had to kind of pull it out of people initially.
Inclusivity and cultural malleability.
Okay. And you want to clarify that?
It fits in wherever you are.
Okay. Okay.
They don't no like dogma, like you have to do what I say kind of thing. Makes it more accessible to any culture.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to add one of my own down here after that. It's perfectly acceptable in Buddhism to pick and choose. You don't have to take the whole thing. That's something that I appreciate. There's no, again, to pick and choose what out of the teachings you want. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Do you have the mic? Oh, you got the mic. You want to go ahead? Okay.
The Dalai Lama.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the deities.
Okay. That's not one I expected. Great. Thank you.
I like the simplicity of the practices.
Okay.
Very practical.
Okay. Practice. That's a good one. Yes. Thank you. Practices are simple. Of course, there's some that are not simple, but there are some simple ones, and practical. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was a gloomy religion. You're saying it's an optimistic religion? Okay. The great optimism, Buddha nature. Even the littlest insect has Buddha nature, right? Okay. This is a great list. Are there any more burning ones people want to add? Yeah, up here.
The fact that you mentioned during our meditation that our focus should be on think and act and say everything that we do and act and say should be benefit others.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That ties in a little bit with the first one, yeah. But okay. Benefiting others. Okay, one more. And then I get to add one. Somebody who hasn't done one yet.
I'd say color.
Color. Okay.
Color is connected to happiness.
Okay, and how you mean just the color of the environment? Or
Yes, and
in the meditations they certainly use color a lot. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Okay. And mine is going to be I like the structure of it. The fact that there's the Lam Rim and things it seems to me to be well organized, and you can fit things in, and you can say, I'm having this problem. What should I do? Oh, and you go over here. It's kind of. Any other? Let's just get a couple more. Yeah, I don't want to cut this off. Over here. Yeah.
I grew up under a totally different religion that was built around, it seemed to me, fear, and this is not fear.
Okay. So that's it, not fear? Okay. Great. Okay, go ahead, burn away.
As a woman, I like that there's the hope and not the fear, and that everything's open to me as well,
Okay.
as opposed to other religions where only men can have leadership roles or vote.
Okay,
for vote or-
okay. I'll put openness, in particular regarding women. Okay. Yes, in the back.
I like the focus on emptiness and how it's discussed.
Oh, okay, good. Some people hate that. Yeah, this is good. We're getting some big topics up here. Okay.
I was going to say emptiness too. but
Okay.
It just seemed like
We got 2 votes for that. Okay. Yeah, Carol.
I really like that there's to me, a comprehensive philosophy of living.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking about here, but that's a better way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah. When you said that, I thought, yeah, that's.
Yeah. Whatever's happening to me, I can find something in the teachings that helps me make sense of it. Yeah. Great. Okay, I'm going to cut it off there. So we've got. This is a good list. I think this is actually more than they had on the things I don't like about Tibetan Buddhism. Compassion, personal ability to find our own happiness or to create our happy mind. Impermanence, which is connected to emptiness, but is not the exact same. Inclusivity and cultural malleability. This is okay to pick and choose. You don't have to accept the whole caboodle. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and then the deities also. Practices are simple and practical. Practices should be practical, right? Yeah. Optimism, the fact that all of us have Buddha nature and the potential to become enlightened. The emphasis on benefiting others. Color connects to happiness. The structure of the teachings, the way they're organized. Not fear-based. Openness, in particular regarding the 2 sexes. Emptiness, the teachings on emptiness, and then the fact that it's comprehensive. Okay, it's a pretty good list. Let's see which one. Yeah, let's start with practices are simple and practical. Do you want to? Can you elaborate on that, or anybody else who wants to speak about that? Personal experience, benefits you've gotten from the practices. Let's start with the woman. What's your name? Sharita. Okay, what you had to say about it, if you want to.
Yeah, well, as simple as the breathing techniques. I just like how easy it is to integrate some of these practices into my daily life.
Okay.
It makes me feel connected with spirit and with others in the community in a very tangible way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you have a daily practice? Do you try and practice every day? Okay. Yeah, and how long have you been doing that, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, as it relates to Buddhism, I actually just started.
Yeah.
So this is like maybe 2 months old for me, actually. Yeah. Okay.
How many people have or try to have a daily practice? May not succeed. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on that? Yeah. Pass them.
People have procedures, and I even will, if they seem extra nervous, try to teach them a little breathing, quickly, and they seem to be able to do it. It helps.
Yeah.
So it is very simple.
Yeah. I mean, we can get all bent out of shape about meditating and how we have to be holy and this, and it's nothing mystical. It's working with your mind. What's the definition of meditation? The Tibetan definition of meditation? To become familiar with. Okay. In the biggest sense, it's to become familiar with your mind, but in a simple meditation, it's becoming familiar with the object. So it's becoming familiar with your breath. if you're doing a breathing meditation. It's becoming familiar with a mantra if you're doing a reciting mantra. If you're meditating on the Buddha, the historical Buddha, it's becoming familiar with him and his qualities. If you're meditating on one of these deities, it's becoming familiar with them and their qualities. Because according to the Buddhist philosophy of the mind is infinitely malleable. In fact, there's nothing that's fixed or unchanging about our mind. So the more we think about good qualities, that's what our mind becomes. So it's really a very simple way of becoming familiar with our mind. And the Tibetan word for meditation is Gom, G-O-M, just for people who don't know this. So this room is referred to as the Gompa, a room for meditation, a room for becoming familiar with. Okay. Other comments? Okay. About people's experience with the practices. Because there's some of them, when you get into these elaborate visualizations and so on, that don't seem simple at first glance. But if you get back and think about what effect is this having on my mind, why am I doing this, what qualities is this meditation intended to develop in my mind, you can simplify it and really get a lot more clear about why you're doing it. Because some of the elaborate meditations, you're visualizing a deity in front of you and you're chanting a mantra and you're doing the various mudras. So there's a lot going on. You're having to do several things at the same time, but the basic intention of even the most elaborate meditations is working with your mind, developing positive qualities in our mind, because those qualities lead to happiness. As Eddie said, this is working with our own mind. Okay, so we'll check that one off. Let's see. And then I'd like to go into optimism and Buddha nature. You want to say a little bit about that? Because, like I was just joking, but Buddhism is frequently attacked as being a gloomy religion or a gloomy philosophy, emphasis on death, dying, suffering. Yeah. So we have someone who's going to tell us, no, it's actually quite optimistic.
We're not told that we're all sinners and that we're basically in a very bad way to start out. I think that's optimistic. To me, that means we're here basically with a blank slate, and then we proceed from there based on how we work with our minds, which I think goes into the personal responsibility, if you want to call it that, mode, where we get to take some amount of charge over how we proceed in life, which I think is very hopeful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the more I've learned a lot more about other religions since I started coming here, even though I was raised in another religion. I don't think I knew as much about other religions until I started studying Buddhism. And that is made me appreciate that aspect of Buddhism more.
Yeah, of course, one of the big questions is Buddhism really a religion, or is it just a philosophy?
Maybe that's what I like about it too.
One way you can divide the world's religions up is, first divide them up into theistic and non-theistic. Theistic with a creator God, and non-theistic, there is no creator God. And there are only a couple non-theistic religions. One is Buddhism. There are certain Hindu sects, small Hindu sects that again, I don't know much about world religion that are non-theistic. And I think there's also a strain of Jainism that is non-theistic. So you've already separated Buddhism from most of the world's religions just in that respect. And then among the non-theistic ones, you can divide those up amongst those that believe that there is a soul or Atman, and Buddhism is the only one, according to what I've read, It says there's no soul also. There's no permanent self. So it's non-theistic, non-soul. And so that makes Buddhism somewhat unique. And whether that takes it out of the realm of religion completely, it's just you're arguing in terms. Yeah, comment.
Hear you say that it's not considered optimistic because coming up in
Mm-hmm.
tradition, it's all punitive,
Mm-hmm.
and even if I look around to some of the other world religions, also seem pretty judgmental, punitive, stifling, mean.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is optimistic, but I think they're.
Thought of Buddhism like that. And I
Yeah.
heard of that before.
One of the previous popes made a very public comment about Buddhism being a gloomy, death-obsessed religion or something to that effect. It got a lot of publicity. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's because that we say everyone is suffering,
Mm-hmm.
and because we say everyone is suffering, which is really just an observation about the state of being.
Yeah.
That people
And
immediately
everybody
think
dies,
that's
yeah.
the very first thing that you hear. Is
Yeah.
everyone is suffering, and whereas people think, well, that's like an edict, you have to. Whereas it's just an observation that that's the state of the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people kind of think it's gloomy.
But that is the first noble truth, and they get stuck there and don't hear the rest of it. Yeah.
Well,
Excellent.
but does the observation, does it go deeper, like with this emptiness thing? Not that anybody really gets a grasp on what that is. Well, that's bad thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
But just the fact that nothing really exists as you think it does, that's pretty all-encompassing.
Yeah.
Depressing.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you like the things the way they are, it's depressing. If you hope that there's something better, that could be optimistic also.
And then the root delusion is that you exist yourself.
Yeah.
That's like a big whammy. It's not that I find that depressing. I think it's
that's actually kind of liberating, isn't it? Yeah. Sure. Let's go over here. Okay.
There's a quote, and unfortunately I can't remember who said it. He was a Thai master, and it kind of ties these two, the emptiness and optimism. He said, wisdom tells me I'm nothing, love tells me I'm everything, between the two my life flows.
Yeah,
and I think that really captures.
Yeah, it's very important, because when we start talking about emptiness, the things don't exist the way we think they do. It's very easy to fall into things don't matter, people suffering doesn't count, there's no point in being a nice person. Yes, that's very good. Always come back to that. Going back to this one here, mention the term Buddha nature. Are people familiar with that term? I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a term that is defined. There are lots of different definitions, and in different traditions it's defined in different ways. So I wanted to clear up kind of the way we think about it here, the correct way, at least in the Tibetan traditions. Every living being, every being with consciousness has Buddha nature. Okay, the littlest ant, Hitler had Buddha nature. Everyone has Buddha nature. So what is Buddha nature? And sometimes we misconceive it as the idea that we have this little Buddha inside of us already, and if we just get out of his way, we're already enlightened, which intellectually is a contradiction in terms. You can't be enlightened without knowing it. You can't be a Buddha and act like an asshole, Okay, so it's not like we have this little Buddha in there and we just have to let him out, or that we're already enlightened. It's that we all have the potential to become enlightened equally. Okay, an ant can become just as enlightened as Mother Teresa. They all have consciousness, which means they have the potential. So again, it ties in a little bit with emptiness, and that potential implies kind of an empty space that can be filled with something, where you can put enlightenment. And the fact that you don't exist in any permanent, fixed way is what gives you the potential to become enlightened. So that's really in the Tibetan tradition what we're talking about when we say Buddha nature. It's our potential to achieve enlightenment, which is a state of complete wisdom and complete compassion. Okay, so that's very optimistic also. We all equally have that potential. And that's why, that's why the life of an ant is in some ways is equally valuable as the life as a human being, because they both have Buddha potential, Buddha nature, the potential. Now, the human being may be a little bit farther along the path, and it's definitely going to be harder to become enlightened if you're an ant, but it is possible. Okay, so we're all equal in that way. That's a way of developing equanimity. Even the people you really dislike have the exact same potential to become enlightened as the people you really admire. Let's see, right here, Chris. Yeah.
And Robbie, I think sometime I've even heard it not expressed as potential, but certainty, eventual.
Yeah.
Certainty, which is even more optimistic.
Yeah, that I'm not really qualified. That's what in the teachings called Abhidharma, about the nature of the universe, and there is definitely an implication that we're all, there are lots of ups and downs, but we're gradually on a kind of upward spiral. Okay. I don't know. I'm not qualified to talk about that really, though. Okay. So let's see. What else? What else do you want to talk about here? We're not going to be able to go through all of them. Let's talk about inclusivity and cultural malleability. We'll start with the person who gave us that one. Because in some ways, we've got a lot of stuff in here that's not native to our culture. We've imported a lot of it. I don't know if there'll be an American Buddhism at some point or not. Yeah. But go ahead, tell us what you're thinking about.
Anybody is welcome here, regardless of whatever, because we all have Buddha nature. And I just, from what I've read of the history of Buddhism, the one reason that it spread as well as it did, at least in Asia, was it kind of adapted to the circumstances, and I think that's why it's spreading here as well. That it's not dogmatic or do what I say or else kind of thing. It's more like, this is a good idea, why don't you try it?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And then it's interesting how it changes as it goes from country to country. You have Chinese Buddhism, you have Zen Buddhism, which is Japanese, you have Tibetan, you have Southeastern Asian. The question is, what is American or Western Buddhism going to look like? And how much are we going overboard by still using Tibetan iconography? Should we adapt these with more Western looking people or not? Sometimes the Westerners become more Tibetan or more Japanese than the Tibetans and Japanese themselves. They can be very attached to some of the external trappings, and it's hard to know. Yeah. Let's go over here. Okay, and then we'll come back.
I think part of the inclusivity, cultural malleability, to me, has to do with focusing on today and the here and now, and it's related to compassion, because everybody, no matter where you're from, can get into, number one, we all want the same thing, happiness, and number two, let's help others out of compassion.
Yeah.
So that applies no matter who you are.
Okay. Anyone else? Wait, let's come up here and then we'll go there. Okay.
I think another thing that goes with the cultural malleability, and she said that, Buddhism spread when people needed it, and it really helped out. I feel like when the teachings spread, people came to it, and the teachings didn't really force themselves upon the people.
Yeah.
It was more of a choice thing to come and, accept the teachings.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no real tradition of proselytizing in Buddhism. Sometimes we bring that as Westerners to it, but it's not really part of the tradition. Yeah.
inclusivity in a different way too. One thing I especially appreciate is inclusion of all sentient beings in consideration.
Yeah.
We're not better than the animal.
Exactly. Yeah, we have, like I said, they have the exact same potential to become enlightened that I do. Okay. So we're not going to be able to talk about them all. Let's finish up with compassion. That's a good one to end with. What's the definition of compassion? Yeah, the wish that others be free of suffering. So that's one of the great qualities of an enlightened being, and one of those qualities that we have the potential for, but it may not be that well developed yet. So the Buddha said that by doing specific meditations, by meditating on compassion, you can develop that quality. Your mind is not fixed. We divide people and say, oh, he's a nice person, oh, she's really compassionate, but we have the potential to change. That goes with impermanence. What's the definition of impermanence? Well, everything is changing, okay, except for there are a few things that aren't changing, but basically everything is always changing. Nothing is staying the same, including our mind. We grasp onto a very solid, unchanging concept of who I am. I have these qualities. I'm good at this. I'm bad at that. The Buddha says that's a misperception. You have the potential to develop any quality you wish, good qualities and negative qualities. And compassion is one of those qualities that through meditation, through practice, through karma yoga, by actually doing things, we can become more compassionate. Okay, we're not stuck with the amount of compassion that we have already. Again, this is very optimistic, I think, that we can actually become more compassionate. What are the non-changing phenomena? I'll get Chris Baranski to answer that. He's a scholar. He can. Yeah. Okay. Basically, everything that exists, physically, mentally, emotionally, is changing, except for
empty space.
Empty space. The completely empty space in between objects. Okay. It doesn't mean the space between me and Pat, because there are air molecules in there. But the completely empty space that is between the smallest particles that you can find is unchanging.
And Julie said emptiness is non-permanent, but it's not really a thing. Like, things don't come together to make emptiness.
What is impermanent is the emptiness of this particular cup at this moment. And the cup's already changed, so there's already a different emptiness. But for that instant, the emptiness, the lack of inherent existence of that cup is unchanging. So it's the emptiness of phenomena. Yeah, not emptiness in general, but the emptiness of a particular phenomena. Okay, what else?
Those are the only two. Back to you, Robbie.
Yeah, there's one more that I know of, and it's called the cessation of a negative mind state. Said if you completely eliminate, for example, anger from your mind, which is a possibility according to the Buddha, that's a permanent state, and that the absence of anger is permanent and unchanging. If you've completely gotten rid of all anger, the absence of anger, the cessation of anger, is unchanging. That's the third one. And there's one more, and I can't remember what it is. Anyway, okay. How did we get off on impermanent? Well, anyway, yeah. So compassion, yeah, I think that draws a lot of people to Buddhism, the emphasis on that, because if you get past the first lesson on suffering and the second lesson on death, then you start to hear about compassion. Okay, so I think we'll wind up our session today. Yeah, right on schedule. Okay, so we'll do some dedication verses, prayers. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. On the top of the pink sheet, we'll do the dedication verses from Shantideva. And then, let's see, we'll read through the other prayers in English and then do 7 Tara mantras at the end for Geshe Gelek's long and happy life. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective. Wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion. To the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech may all your holy wishes be fulfilled. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Awatare, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and joy. Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Mahājanā's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers on Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-objectifying compassion, Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom, Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, to Losang Drapa at your feet I make request. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 Okay, just a couple announcements. Next Sunday, the 10:45 session is going to be short, and then we're going to have an annual membership meeting starting at 11:30 or 11:45 for about an hour. Everyone is welcome to attend. Members of the management team and the board will be making very brief presentations. There'll be an opportunity to ask any and all questions you have about Kadampa Center. So everyone's welcome to attend, even if you're not an official member. So that's next Sunday. The following Sunday, Venerable George Chernoff will begin teaching. He's fantastic. He's so impressive, and I really encourage people to take advantage of his time here. And then I want to remind people about the public talk that's a fundraiser for Kadampa Center with Robert Thurman, and that's on the 29th. And he is an incredible speaker, and we're very lucky to get him here. The only reason he's coming is because he's a friend of Geshe Gelek's, because he's in demand around the world. So do not miss that opportunity to hear him. He's one of the in addition to being a very entertaining speaker, he is one of the truly great scholars of Tibetan Buddhism of our time. So don't miss that. And we have another event coming up, I think. Is this for next Saturday? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we're here today to invite everyone to come out this coming Saturday from 10 to 2 and search for Dharma treasures. A couple of weeks ago, Joanna made a similar announcement. She and I were on our search for Dharma treasures to be donated for this event. We've had a wonderful, generous response and are continuing to collect items all this week. We hope that everyone will take this opportunity to clean out their Dharma closets. But we currently have beautiful statues, stupas, satsas, malas, prayer flags, chankas, water bowls, bellandorji, butter lamps, meditation cushions, meditation benches, photos of lamas and deities, mandala set, and many, many beautiful items. So Saturday, September 14th is your turn to search for Dharma treasures. If you're new to Buddhism and want to set up an altar, or you've been studying for many years and want to enhance your practice and beautify your current altar, this is the event for you. Everything is offered on a generosity basis. We'll accept whatever fits your budget and fills your generous heart. All the proceeds will go to Kadamba Center and to the bookstore for needed improvements. And Joanne and I will be out in the lobby if you have any questions, and we hope to see you Saturday. This is one of a sample of the things that we're receiving that are just fabulous.
Are you still accepting donations?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Up until Saturday morning from 8 to 10.
Okay. Okay. Great. Well, and go home with more stuff than you bought. Is the idea? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Testing. Okay, great. Okay, let's get this thing rolling so the kids can go to their class. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kadampa Center. Okay, so we'll begin with our prayers on the beige page in the prayer book. We'll do Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra 3 times, 4 immeasurables in English, and then chanted in Tibetan. Down at the bottom of the page, we'll do refuge and bodhicitta 3 times. And then on the back of the page, we'll do the 7-limb prayer and the first verse of the short mandala offering, all in English. Okay? Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Munaye Soha Tayata O Mune Maha Munaye So may all sentient beings have happiness in the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering, the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Senjentam Chede Wandang Dewe Gyurdam Denpa Gyurshik Duge Dandu Gelgi Gyurdam Drelwe Gyurshik Dugel Mepe Dewa Dami Drelwa Gyurshik Neri Chabdan Nida Drelwe Tom Yam Lane Pargyu Shing. Now we'll recite refuge and bodhicitta 3 times. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Then on the top of the back of that page, we'll read the 7-limb prayer. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulate since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. And then we'll do the first verse of the short mandala offering in English. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. So the young people may go to their classes. Oh, do we want to do some chants? You want to do some Omanis? Oh, come on back. Okay. How many Omanis do you want to do? Oh, you want to do those now? Okay. Okay, so we'll do 8 Omani Padme Hums and 7 Tara chants, okay? Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 Okay, Nadia, thank you. Okay, and if your child is here for the first time, could you please accompany them this morning? Thank you. Mm. Oh, more room in here now. Okay. Thank you. Let me just get a feel for who's here today. Do we have anyone who's here for the very first time today? A couple of people. Okay, great. Glad to have you here. Everybody else is a very experienced Buddhism and they've been meditating for years and years and years. So don't be intimidated by them. My name's Robbie Watkins. I've been a member of Kadampa Center for about 20 years. And Geshe Gelek, our resident teacher, is away for several months. He's visiting other centers in the FPMT, the organization that we're part of around the world, and recharging his batteries. And in 2 weeks, we'll have Venerable George Chernoff, one of the senior most Western monks in our organization, will be here for 6 weeks, and he'll be leading the Sunday sessions. So in between, we've had kind of potluck, and today Sarah's scraping the bottom of the pot, and she told me I was going to be up here. So I'll be leading the discussion this morning, but we'll begin with some meditation. So when we meditate, first thing is always to check our posture, whether we're sitting on a cushion or in a chair. The most important aspect of the posture is that our back is a little bit straighter than we normally sit. It's not rigid, but a little bit straighter. Our head is straight on our shoulders, maybe just a couple degrees in front of the vertical, but not asleep on our chest. Our eyes are either lightly closed or just slightly open, letting in a little bit of light. Our lips are lightly closed, our jaw is not clenched. The tongue is on the gum above the upper teeth. Our shoulders are down and back a little bit so that our chest is open. Our arms are away from the sides of our torso. And it's perfectly okay to sit with our hands on our knees, or we can put our right hand on left with our thumbs touching slightly below the level of our navel. Our legs are in a position that we find stable and comfortable. If we're sitting in a chair, it's perfectly okay to put a cushion under your feet. And if you're on a cushion, it's good to sit towards the front third of the cushion and get your knees down towards the cushion if you can. The point of the posture is not to torture yourself or to be uncomfortable, but to establish a posture that is stable and maintains itself, so that during the meditation that's going to follow, it doesn't become a source of distraction. If you find during the meditation you're always thinking about your posture, you probably need to modify something and find something that works for you. The most important, well, one of the most important aspects of the posture is that it opens up the energy channels that flow from our head down to the level of our genitalia in front of the spine. So that's why we want the back up and open. Sometimes it's referred to as a regal posture, but it's one where we also feel very grounded. It's a very solid and self-maintaining posture. So go ahead and just check your posture first. And we'll begin our meditation by doing a version of what's called 9-round breathing that just helps settle the mind. There are many versions of this. Geshe teaches one on Sunday morning. The one I like to use is very simple. Close the left nostril, take 3 breaths in and out through the right nostril. Close the right nostril, take 3 breaths in and out through the left nostril. Open both nostrils, 3 breaths in and out. The stomach expands on the in-breath, so our diaphragm is being pulled down and our lungs are completely filling, and then it contracts towards the spine on the out-breath. So really deep breaths for a total of 9 breaths, and you can do that at your own pace. And now we allow our breath to return to its normal pattern. And always we begin our meditation by setting our motivation. What is my reason for being here at Kadampa Center this morning? Doing this meditation and participating in the discussion to follow. And whatever brought us here this morning is a valid motivation. If we came just out of curiosity, that's fine. If we came because we just want a little peace and quiet during a hectic weekend, that's great. If we came because this makes a positive imprint on our mind, fantastic. But the Buddha told us that the highest motivation, the most powerful motivation, is what's referred to as the bodhicitta motivation. the motivation that everything I think, everything I say, everything I do is done so that I can be of more benefit to others. Everything. Even something as simple as sitting on a cushion for 20 minutes. Done so I can benefit others. For most of us, that's not a natural way of thinking. It seems almost grandiose. But even effortfully forcing ourselves to think in that way is incredibly powerful. We just grit our teeth and force out a little bit of bodhicitta. Fantastic. So let's just sit for a minute and generate the bodhicitta motivation. And having set our motivation, we now begin the actual meditation practice. We're going to do a very simple concentration meditation. For all of us, our mind has some ability to concentrate. It's not really a quality that we've developed over the years. So when we meditate, we choose an object for the meditation. What is my mind going to pay attention to? And we don't just sit and let our mind wander from one pleasant thought to another. We have a chosen object and we place our mind on that object. So in this meditation, the object is the breath, just the physical sensation of the breath moving in and out through our nostrils. We place our mind on that, mind on the breath. Nothing more, nothing less than that. Every time the mind wanders, as it inevitably will, off to something I need to do when I leave the center, or something I need to get ready for work tomorrow, or something fun I did yesterday. We just set that aside. We don't get harsh with ourselves. We know that's inevitable. Set that aside. Come back to the breath. Over and over and over and over again. And that's the meditation. And we can end our meditation, as always, by doing a dedication. Acknowledge that by sitting quietly and becoming familiar with our mind in this way, we've done something a little out of the ordinary. Something that, even if it seemed difficult or awkward, made a positive imprint on our mind stream. And now we think, may that positive imprint not be lost, but may it ripen at a future time in a way that is of benefit to all sentient beings. Any questions or comments about the meditation we just did? Everybody was very, very quiet. I think we do have a bunch of experienced meditators here this morning. This is going to be a discussion today. If there's no discussion, we get out early. So it's up to you. We do have several million people around the world who are streaming this live, so wait till you get the mic before you talk, okay? The mic is the talking stick. There are at least one or two people who are tuning in, so they do like to hear the comments from the group. How many people were here 2 weeks ago when Don Brown led the discussion on things I hate about Tibetan Buddhism? Okay. Well, they came up with a very long list. They wanted to go into overtime, but Don wouldn't let them. So today we're doing the flip side, things I like about Tibetan Buddhism. And this is going to be an open discussion. Everybody here had the opportunity to do many things this morning, but for some reason, you decided to come to Kadampa Center. And what we'd like to do is hear some of the reasons, what attracts you about this tradition. Do we have anyone here who was raised a Buddhist? Okay, so every single person in this room came from a different tradition. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Things we'll go all squishy, things I heart. Oh, about, and we're going to say, assume Tibetan, but any type of Buddhism. Some of us are card-carrying Buddhists. Some people find it interesting. Some people are here out of curiosity. So everything is, it's open season here. Anything you want to list is good. The first group came up with a great list, so I'm going to be comparing your list to theirs mentally in my mind. But I was very disappointed that no one said Kadampa Center's director. I thought that would be at least in the top 3. Okay, so I'm just going to throw it out to the crowd. Yeah, wait for the talking stick. Yeah, and we'll just list a bunch of things, and then we'll go, as time allows, go back and talk about some of them. Yeah, this is David Strevel, who 2 weeks ago admitted what he didn't like. It was very, very honest and open, sharing about what he did not find useful about Tibetan Buddhism. So I'm glad you're talking, Dave. Thank you.
So I would like to me, one of the most remarkable differences about the Buddhist tradition is that it's full of practical instructions of what to think about human existence and how to think about it and how to face life positively, which is really missing from the other traditions that I used to be part of. And to me, that's a very valuable part of it, to think about, life's difficulties. We admit that there are many, but that we have a way of thinking about them and acting that helps us make the best of it.
Okay, so I'm going to try and summarize that as practical instructions about life. Is that Does that sum up what you were saying, Dave? Okay, with the emphasis being on practical, right? Okay, great. Okay, over here, Royden.
So one of the things that I truly cherish about the Kadampa Center in Tibetan Buddhism is its respect for where everybody came from and where everybody is right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I give the newcomer orientation, I can truly say that everyone is welcome here, no matter what their background or current beliefs, and the mission is pretty obvious and
Okay.
does not include.
Okay.
Yep.
So respect, welcome for all. Does that express what you were saying? Okay. Okay, someone else. Yeah.
And as I guess a side part of that, I really appreciate the community that
Mm-hmm.
we've been able to build here.
Okay.
I've been in other even Tibetan traditions, and I feel like a lot of it is more emphasizing on practice as a personal matter rather than as a community. So.
Okay. Okay. Dorothy.
What I really liked about it is how it investigates. Like, if you don't understand something, like I grew up Christian, so you had to just believe blindly. Here, I can investigate whether or not it's true, investigate reality, and come to my own conclusions. And see whether or not Buddha challenges us to challenge him.
Okay.
And I like that.
Yeah, the Buddha said, take my teachings and test them against your own experience. So I think there are a lot of people who come from a scientific background who find that aspect of Buddhism very appealing. So investigate, test, everything. Don't take anything the Buddha said just because he said it, or any other teacher, okay? Yeah, this attitude, it didn't die out with the Buddha. We should bring that attitude towards all teachings that we receive. Okay. Yeah, over here.
All right. It's kind of along the same way of what Dorothy said there, but it's kind of made me, I guess not made, but helped me investigate the interconnectivity of a lot of things, especially on, I guess, the spiritual / faith side of life, and seeing how things really are interconnected, and the true histories and things of that nature.
Okay. Yeah, the term we use for that in Buddhism is interdependence, how everything is interdependent. So you appreciate that. Interdependence. Okay. Let's see. Over here, let's see. Wait, we got someone in the back. Okay.
Yeah. I really like how it has the ability to be versatile in its applicability, I guess. So, I mean, you can be super spiritual. You can be just like, oh, I'm gonna go because I'm feeling really down and I want something to help.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to treat it exactly like a religion. Like Buddha had a strong desire for that, for it to be like open for many different types of people and how they wanted to practice it.
Yeah. We had somebody mention something like that in the first session. They said it's perfectly okay to pick and choose. This I find this useful. I don't find that useful. I'll take this. Let's see. How would I? How do you want me to put that down here? How can you sum that up? Versatility. Okay, it's different things for different people. Yeah. For the super spiritual, as you put it. Who here qualifies as super spiritual? Okay,
the Sangha for lighting the path, showing the path and the way.
Okay.
And can we get the director on the board?
No,
Yeah.
no. We're talking about Buddhism in general, not about Kadampa Center. Okay? Yeah. The director on the board. Okay. No, I won't fit up there. Okay. Okay, so the Sangha. Yeah, that's that's something in most spiritual traditions in the West. You don't have robed monks and nuns. In Catholicism you do, but certainly and not in most of the Protestant traditions. And it's an incredible inspiration for most of us. Yeah. And
I love the altar. I love all the statues, and I love the rituals, and I love all the ceremonies.
well, that was on the list people of things didn't like 2 weeks ago.
For some
Oh,
people,
okay.
but I'm fascinated by it, and I think it brings like a rich tradition to the practice.
So altar rituals, iconography. You must have been Tibetan in your previous lifetime, yeah. Iconography. Okay, great. Keep going.
So right here.
Yeah.
So actually, one of the things that I disliked most about Tibetan Buddhism in the beginning was all the iconography that now I guess has come flip side of it. And besides the any sentimentalness for particular altars or images, now it has become very apparent to me what phenomenal tools they are, even if you become disenfranchised with any emotional feeling towards them, what phenomenal tools they are for exercising different parts of your brain. So the different visualizations that you walk through, that it's just had so many generations of compounding to exercise different parts of your brain, or different compassions, or long life, or well wishes for other people, that they're phenomenal tools, even if you just objectively look at them.
Yeah.
And that's become one of the things that I like most about all the icons and images.
Okay. So that involves learning what they're about rather than just looking at them and being freaked out by all this bizarreness. Yeah. So, but as mental tools. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, along with this train of thought about the beauty of everything around us, I really love the altar. I love these hangings, and I don't know all the meanings, but it's just really beautiful. And as an artist, I can really appreciate it. And then I watched Tibetan ritual with the mandalas, with the sand, and it was so wonderful just to watch them doing something so beautiful and so skilled for a spiritual purpose. I really appreciated that.
Okay, so mental tools, but also their beauty. Okay.
Thank you. It makes me happy. And it makes me happy.
Okay.
And it doesn't, and it wants me to be happy instead of guilty, nervous, oppressed. It's like whenever I'm here or whenever I practice, I feel this community. Everyone wants me to be happy, and I want everyone to be happy. And when I leave, I'm a lot happier.
Okay. Okay. Happy, not guilty. Yeah. Okay.
I got another one.
Okay.
I got lots of them, but I'll let people take turns. My second one that I really liked, which is maybe one that people hated, was the history. The fact that the Sangha have constantly repeated it over and over and over and memorized it for millennia. And it's not like this flyby tradition that just started.
Okay.
It's been here a really long time. And so to me, it gave it some validity because of the history.
Okay. Can I say lineage? Is that okay? That it's been passed down from person to person without gaps, frequently just passed down orally and then writing and now on the internet. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, this is my first time here, and my name is Pavitra.
Welcome.
Thank you. And what I like about Buddhism is how much it's based on psychotherapy. Like, it's based on the power of now. And if you ask me now, right now, I don't have any problem. How it conditions me to be a better person and serving others. Because if I follow the rules properly, I think I will have a better life.
Okay.
So it really helps me. It answers the questions which I thought were unanswerable, but it does help.
Okay. So saying that it's based on the mind is that okay? Psychology. Okay. Okay. Great. Let's just take a couple more, and then we'll look at a few of these as time allows.
I like it because you don't see Buddhists trying to convert everybody in the world. And to me, that's refreshing. They're not knocking on your door and trying to make you believe. It's your choice.
Okay. Non-proselytizing. Yeah, that's not proselytizing. I don't know how to spell it. Yeah. Okay. Next. Let's see. Okay.
I feel that is also very empowering because it's use a lot of common sense and then make you are responsible for your life to be better, not some magical power or or a prayer that's gonna make you make more money or
okay.
So it's very empowering to.
Okay, so we'll say empowering. Oops.
Yeah, it makes you accountable to that.
Yeah, that's what's got personal responsibility. Yep, it's all up to you. Which some people like, other people don't like. Yeah. Okay, let's get a couple more.
I enjoy how your own personal benefit is also seen as benefit to the people around you. It gives the philosophy that if you're happy, you're going to be able to make other people happy, regardless of whether they practice with you.
Yeah. Okay.
It spreads, and I enjoy that kind of thinking.
Okay. Personal. Yeah. Like they say, the best thing you can do for other people is to get your own act together. Personal happiness benefits others.
Exactly.
Okay. Couple more.
At the risk of offending some people.
This is things we like, not about things we don't like. Yeah.
I know. This is the context of this is somebody was telling me the other day. Well, let me have a sidebar about real quick about community. I just read an article, in a medical journal, that that people in the midlife that have a spiritual connection and have a large community of people have a much lower incidence of suicide. I thought that was important. Now, the point I wanted to make was, I think Buddhism has great potential for healing the mind. Now, you could put you could put purification, because I think that's the process of purification allows for this healing to take place. I think they're sort of synonymous. And then one more slash would be something that those of us from the Christian tradition might experience, because this person was saying, well, I don't like Buddhism because there's no redemption in Buddhism. You know, like you say, okay, I'm saved, therefore I'm completely liberated and I'm going to heaven. I'm, straight shot. And I sort of disagree with that. I really think that this healing and purification that we can do, if the experience of redemption is like freedom and letting go and feeling like very optimistic and positive, I think that's exactly what happens when we really practice Buddhism and purification. There is a feeling of being free you were talking about happiness, call it what you want to, but it is something that we do ourselves. We generate it ourselves. It's not coming from some supreme being. This is something that we're responsible. Again, right back to the notion of responsibility.
Okay, there's a lot in that. Yeah, Chrissy. Yeah. Okay, people want to keep adding to the list. I wanted to talk about some of them, but let's keep going on the list. It's fun to hear these things.
This kind of goes under. This kind of goes under that healing, mind purification, and then also using the altars and the iconography as tools. But using some of the wrathful deities for me have been really powerful, and I was turned off of them obviously at the beginning because they're not from my tradition, and I'm like, how is this? Is it okay to feel these things? Is it okay to see them as reality? And I think that's something that Tibetan Buddhism does really well, is that nothing is off the table. Everything is up for discussion. You know, and even these things that you've been taught maybe in your past, that we shouldn't talk about these things, we shouldn't think of these things. If you think of these things, then you know there's something wrong with you. And to have deities that I can use to explore these ideas and thoughts and emotions that go through me, either for healing or purification, has really been something that I really like about Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I mean, all aspects of our life are included somewhere. You know, the sexual aspect is very prominent. You know, using wrath, using desire. You know, it's not like you have to pretend those aren't there or push them under the table. You know, there's ways that they can be used as part of your spiritual practice, which I do think, to me, seems kind of unique. I don't know. I haven't done comparative religions, but that's a very interesting point. Okay, Lisa.
I like the Buddhist take on death and how it encourages you to
it's such a gloomy
talk
religion.
about death and think about
death,
it.
Suffering,
Speaking
yeah.
from personal
Love
experience
it.
of someone who's thought about it in a very negative way at some point in my life, I like to think of it positively now and use it as a tool.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more. What about the Buddhist teachings on death? Are you?
Encourages you to think about your own life.
Okay.
And death is an inevitable part of it, and it's something that we don't need to be afraid of. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We need to accept it, embrace it even.
Death meditations and preparation. Joey.
I like the fact that there's like a method for almost any problem we got.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I've explored every method, but
Yeah.
you know, it's nice to know that if there is a problem I have, that there's a method for it.
I think that's what Dave was talking about in number one. Yeah. And that's something I appreciate. You know, somewhere you're going to find if, you know, something's going wrong, you can find an explanation, what's causing it, what you need to do about it, what the consequences are. It's very practical and all-inclusive. Okay.
I like to focus on compassion, and I feel that
that was the first one that came up in the other class.
Yeah.
I'm not there. Yeah.
and I feel the open hearts when I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's make this last one or next to last one.
This might touch a little bit on a lot of the other ones, but I find that a lot that people that are studying Buddhism tend to like walk the walk and talk the talk in other areas of their life. Like they don't go to work and they're like cutthroat to everybody. Like it really kind of spreads, I think, to almost everything you do. Or it's not like for 1 hour when I come to the center, you know, I'm peaceful with everybody, but then as soon as I walk out, I'm cutting everybody off. So I try to get to the grocery store. It's you know, it's kind of it's very pervasive, and it tends to be pervasive
pervades everyday life. Pervades daily life. I mean, if you do, this is an example. If you study karma and really believe it, you know, it's in the back of your mind. You know, you'll never let anyone give you excess change at the grocery store ever again. Yeah. Okay.
I got a quick one for completeness. And
Okay.
try just to get myself into the discussion. It's emptiness and impermanence. Put that up there.
Emptiness and impermanence. Well, we've got compassion, we've got emptiness, so we've got everything up here, yeah. These are two terms that people may not be familiar with. If you're new to Kadampa Center or Tibetan Buddhism, do you want to explain them, Chris?
Woohoo, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. Emptiness is the fact that everything that we think is solid and impermanent or permanent really is made up of parts and causing conditions in our perceiving mind. And I'll leave it at that. And then,
as Don explained a couple of weeks ago, it means none of us are seeing the same thing. There is not anything that exists out there such that Chris and I are going to see it in the exactly same way. Our mind is influencing, we can even say, creating what we see, what our experience is. Okay, go ahead.
And then impermanence is the idea that everything changes moment to moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Physically, mentally, emotionally, our mind, our body are constantly changing. We go through our lives typically with an attitude that I'm this way and I'm fixed. And I may change just a little bit. I may be a little bit nicer some days. I may be a little bit grumpier. But the Buddhists say everything is in a state of flux. And our projection that things exist permanently, i.e. in an unchanging way, is a source of a lot of problems. Okay, I'm going to cut the list off there so we can go back and, so we can go back and just talk about a few of these. I want to go back to the first one. I think this is a great one. The practical instructions that we find in Buddhism about life's ups and downs. Dave, you want to elaborate on that a little bit more? To start off the discussion on that one? Yeah.
So to me, what that means is if I think about my boyhood as a Methodist kid.
Now, the point of this discussion is not to slam other religions, okay?
No,
be very careful about that.
I'm not doing that, but if I think as I recall my training there were the 10 Commandments, which is 10 negative things you aren't supposed to do, and mixed with a few you are. And then there's maybe the Golden Rule, but compared to what I learned there, Buddhism has like a zillion times more aspects to it and instructions for
and more lists,
all kinds of situations, all kinds of lists, and and it focuses far more on telling you to look inside your own head to think about how you are perceiving things, asking whether that's real or whether it really needs to be that way, and maybe instructions about how to transform many of those negative thoughts into positive ones and face life in a better way, both in your own head and in your relations to others, to make things come out a lot more positively. So that's what I mean by a whole lot of practical instructions about how to face all of life's situations.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah. Okay, Royden.
So I think the practical aspect of the list is actually included in the list because as a scientist, one of the first things that I have looked at is how the teachings and how I've taken in some of these things and just look at other people around me and see if that relationship has benefited or if it has benefited those who I feel most attached to, so to say. So I think the practical instruction for me is to be able to look at Layla or whoever and say, is this person that I love or have trouble with benefiting from the things that I'm hearing and taking away from Kadampa Center Tibetan Buddhism?
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Up here in front.
For me, when I think of practical instructions, I think of tools, like
Mhm.
a toolkit, and it's very similar to psychology and what they teach there as far as coping mechanisms and focusing on
Mhm.
the positive. And it actually kind of gives you a little tool you can pick and choose what you need during certain events that arise.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. The toolkit. That's a image that's used a lot. And okay, I'm getting angry. What do I do to deal with anger? I open up my toolkit and I can say, well, this person's doing this because they're under the effect of their karma. It's their karma that's forcing them to do this. They're doing this because they want to be happy, but they're just doing it in an unskillful way. Why are they doing it to me? Because it's my karma, okay? But they're just like me. They want to be happy just the way that I do. Okay, so that's one tool you can pull out. Then you can pull out the thought transformation tools where you can actually work on changing the anger into something better. And then if you want to reach down to the bottom of the box, you can pull out your emptiness tools and say, whoa, the things aren't the way I perceive them. There are different levels of different, some of them you need a little bit more training to use necessarily, but that's a great image. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was going to say, as part of that toolkit, one of the things that I've gotten over and over again from this center is that a lot of the things that I think are really important problems are not. And so, I'll be struggling with something, and then I'll come here, and then the temple will say, hey, that's samsara. I'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. That's no problem.
All right. Okay. Yeah, Dorothy.
What I really like about
okay,
it.
Elise, yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I really found that it was really helpful to have definitions for things. Over the years, in trying to study different religions and philosophies of life, I decided that there was no one that had all the answers. So I tried to find what was common to all of them. And for one thing, for example, love and compassion. They all stress love and compassion. But what is love? What is compassion?
Mm-hmm.
Well, each one of those faith streams would give a lot of examples of amazing people that do things that are loving and compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
But still, how do I do those things? How do I get to be the kind of person that does those things?
Yeah.
Well, the first day I was at Kadampa Center, there was that prayer, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the definition of love. Wow, there was a definition of compassion,
yeah.
right? And have happiness, be
yeah.
And and that was the definition. Well, and then happiness is or compassion is being free from suffering. Well, what is suffering? Well, suffering is not having a negative mind. Well, what's negative?
Mm-hmm.
Well, jealousy, anger, and everything had a definition that then helped me to understand what it was. So then I can work on acquiring it.
Yeah, and not just acquiring it, but we can develop those qualities in our mind, and that's something, I think a lot of us, until we started studying Buddhism, felt we were kind of stuck with the mind we have. I can be a little bit nicer, I can be a little bit this, but the Buddha said, we can develop infinite love, infinite compassion if we follow these methods. It's something that can grow. Okay, great. I want to move on. Did you want to say?
One comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There was one thing. The first time I came here, I came to when Venerable Rabina was teaching. Sometimes she rubs people the wrong way, but she's my Bodhisattva. And there's something that she said that was the most practical thing in my life that I thought was great, and it's a practical instruction. Zip your lip and keep your hands to yourself. And I have thought about that practically every day because I was one of those that just started, dumping garbage. And to me, she really had some practical tools that were very useful, and I think Buddhism has really given some great instructions for people.
Yeah, that's a great line. And what the Buddha says, you need to avoid negative actions of thought, speech, and body. Thought is really, really hard. Really. So Venerable Rabina is saying, watch your speech, watch your actions. Zip your lips and keep your hands to yourself. Those we can work on right now in this life. Okay, we can't necessarily control our thoughts. Just very brief, we're running out of time. Don, I want to go back to yours. Can you talk a little bit about what you meant by healing in particular? Because that's a word that gets used a lot, but that's a...
Hello. Yeah, I don't. You know, it's interesting. We don't talk. It doesn't come up here at the center very often. But when I think about healing, you know, it's kind of a catch some years ago and catch term, and yet healing somehow to me means that you don't suffer. You know, somehow whatever's got me. Maybe it's a memory of something I remember some things that I did in my 20s that I just go, ooh, ouch, I did that, and so those memories still linger, like torment me, and so I've done some practices really working with that to let that go, and so I call letting go of painful memories and painful experiences like that kind of healing take place in my mind, because I don't forget these things, but I'm not run by them like I was. And
maybe explain a little bit about purification since we have some new people.
Well, you know, purification really has to do with being brutally honest with myself and looking at my life from, you know, who have I done wrong? You know, like that country song. Anyway, you know, I think in AA, for example, I actually did this when I did my first experience with Buddhism. I sat down and wrote down the names of everybody I had done wrong that I could think of in this lifetime. And when I got home, I spent hundreds of dollars calling these people, apologizing. They thought I was crazy. But I think that's part of the purification, is acknowledging, first of all, you know, regret that we've done something wrong. Then in Buddhism we make some kind of declaration that I'm not going to do that again. You know, it's like it's not enough to say I'm sorry. You got to say I'm sorry, and I'm going to strive not to do that again for a minute, an hour, a day, a year, or the rest of my life. So that part of it's number 2. Number 3 is you take some sort of action, and it might be Vajrasattva mantra. It might be, certainly it could involve picking up the telephone and apologizing and saying, look, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I'm working on myself, and I wasn't then. And I don't want to do that again. And then the 4th one is, we call it taking refuge and generating compassion, but it's really connecting with our spirit, you know, with our spiritual sources of power, which are the 3 jewels of refuge, and our own ability to develop compassion. So those are so the first is regret, and then there's like a declaration which is the most important one of all, is to promise not to do it again for some specific period of time. And then there's some action that we take, you know, what do we call it, the remedy, and then refuge and bodhicitta.
Yeah. Geshe Gelek always says, you get up where you fall down, i.e. saying, don't come to a Kadampa center and do 100 mantras and think you're purifying if you can get on the phone and apologize to the person. You know, if you can, that's much more powerful to actually speak to the person that you've done wrong to.
But I think the end result of it should, you know, if we've done it well, is that whatever, it's good to try to bring to mind the specific things that we've done that have harmed us and others. But if purification's been done well, then the charge of that negativity may not be completely gone, but it definitely diminishes. And my children actually had this experience on New Year's Eve after doing Dorji Kadra. They, gosh, I feel so much better after Dorji Kadra. So anyway, that's purification.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have to call time there, unfortunately. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. I think you had a longer list than the first group, but there were fewer of them, so I think it comes out even. On the pink sheet, let's do the verses from Shanti Deva, and then 7 green Tara mantras for Geshe Gelek's continued long and healthy life. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing and the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 Okay, just a couple announcements. Next Sunday, this session is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have a short meditation session, and then beginning at 11:30, we're going to have our annual membership meeting, which will last for about an hour. Everyone is welcome to attend, even if you're not an official member. There'll be very brief presentations from the management team and the board of directors, and then an opportunity to ask any and all questions you have about Kadampa Center. So everyone's welcome for that. The following Sunday, Venerable George Chernoff will begin teachings. He's a fantastic teacher. He's an American, a graduate of MIT, who has been a monk in the Tibetan tradition for close to 40 years now. One of the most distinguished Western teachers of Tibetan Buddhism. He'll be teaching on Sunday mornings. He'll be teaching Discovering Buddhism on Mondays, and he'll be teaching the basic program on Wednesdays. So I really encourage you to take advantage of his presence here. September 29th, big event, fundraising event for Kadampa Center, a public talk by Robert Thurman. He's in demand all around the world. We got him to come to Kadampa Center for the second time because he's a friend of Geshe Gelek's. He's truly one of the most distinguished scholars of Tibetan Buddhism of the second half of the 20th century, and an incredibly dynamic teacher and speaker, in addition to being the father of Uma Thurman. But do not miss that. Bring your friends. It's something that everyone will enjoy. It's going to be at the Universalist Unitarian Church on Wade Avenue, and there's information in the flyer about that. And we have two young ladies standing over here who have something to tell us.
And we're here today to invite everyone to come out this coming Saturday from 10 to 2 and search for Dharma treasures. A couple of weeks ago, Joanna made a similar announcement. She and I were searching for the Dharma treasures to be donated for this event. And we've had a wonderful, generous response and are continuing to collect items all this week. So we hope that everyone will please take this opportunity to clean up the Dharma closets. We currently have beautiful statues, stupas, satsas, malas, prayer flag kampas, water bowls, bell and dorji, butter lamps, meditation cushions and benches, photos of lamas and deities, mandala set, many, many beautiful items. So Saturday, September 14th, it's your turn to search for Dharma treasures. If you're new to Buddhism and want to set up an altar, or you've been studying for many years and want to enhance enhance your practice and beautify your current altar, this is the event for you. Everything is offered on a generosity basis. We'll accept whatever fits your budget and fills your generous heart. All proceeds will come back to Kadapa Center and the bookstore for needed improvements. So we hope to see you on Saturday, and Joanna and I will be out in the lobby if you have any questions. Yes. So this is the type of items that are being offered.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.